we've got number 1 on the front of the packet. 6b plus 4y equals 54, and 4b equals 20. Okay, so let's first solve for b. If 4b equals 20, I'm only looking at this bottom equation. So I want 4 times b, or b times 4 equals 20. So in order to get rid of this times 4, I'm going to divide by 4. Anything times 4 divided by 4, they cancel out. But if I'm going to divide this side by 4, I've got to also divide this side by 4 to keep it equal. Whatever I do to the left side, I've got to do to the right side to keep it equal. So I've got b equals 20 over 4, which is 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay? And I can go back and I can check it, make sure it works. 4 times 5 equals 20. Yes, it does. So I've got half my answer. b equals 5. Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to substitute on my top equation. Instead of b, I'm going to rewrite my top equation. Instead of a b, though, I'm going to substitute what b equals. So in this case, b equals 5. So instead of 6b, I'm going to write 6 times 5. I'm going to put that 5 in parentheses so I know it's not 65, it's 6 times 5. So I've got 6 times 5 plus 4y equals 54. Okay, 6 times 5 is 30. So I've got 30 plus 4y equals 54. Okay, well I don't want 30 plus 4y. I'm going to try to isolate y here. So if I have 30 plus 4y equals 54, I'm going to go to a new page. 30 plus 4y equals 54. I'm trying to isolate this, so I'm going to get rid of this plus 30. In order to get rid of this plus 30, I'm going to subtract 30. But if I subtract 30 from this side, in order to keep this thing equal, I've also got to subtract 30 from this side. So I've got 4y plus 30 minus 30. They cancel out. So now I've got 4y equals 54 minus 30. 54 minus 30 is 24. So 4y equals 24. Once again, if 4 times y equals 24, I'm going to divide this side by 4 to get rid of that times 4. But if I divide this side by 4, I've also got to divide this side by 4. Now any number times 4 divided by 4, they cancel out. So I've got y equals 24 divided by 4. 24 divided by 4 is just 6. So I've got y equals 6. Now I'm going to go back. So b equals 5, y equals 6. Each one of these problems is going to have 2 answers because we have 2 variables. These letters are what we call our variables. Now I'm going to go back to my original problem here, and I'm going to substitute my values for b and my value for y and make sure it works. So instead of a b, I'm going to put my value for b, which is 5. Instead of my y, I'm going to put my value for y, which is 6. And I'm going to make sure this works. So 6 times 5 is 30, plus 4 times 6 is 24. Does that equal 54? 30 plus 24? Yes, it does. So these are correct. b equals 5, y equals 6. And it checks. 6 times 5 plus 4 times 6 does equal 54. Questions on that first one? Just leave it plain.
Okay.
Let's do the next one. Alright, here we have a plus 4x. This is number 2. A plus 4x equals 11, and 6a equals 18. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for a. If 6a equals 18, I want a by itself, so I'm going to divide this side by 6. Anything times 6 divided by 6, they cancel each other out. But if I divide this side by 6, I've also got to divide this side by 6. So I get a equals 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Great, so I'm halfway done. A equals 3. Now I'm going to go back to my original problem, and I'm going to rewrite it. Instead of a, though, I'm going to substitute what a equals. In this case, I'm saying a equals 3, so that's what I'm going to substitute for a. I'm going to substitute 3 for a. So I have 3 plus 4x equals 11. Now, I want to get rid of this plus 3, so I'm going to subtract 3. But if I subtract 3 from this side of the equation, in order to keep this equal, I've got to subtract 3 from this side of the equation. So, 4x plus 3 minus 3, they cancel out. So I've got 4x equals 11 minus 3. 4x equals 11 minus 3. 11 minus 3 is just 8. So I have 4x equals 8. If 4x equals 8, that means x must equal, I divide this side by 4. What I do to this side, I must do to this side. Times 4 divided by 4, they cancel out. I have x equals 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So x equals 2. X equals 2. A equals 3. Now let's go back to our original problem and check it, make sure that it works. So instead of an a, I'm going to substitute what a equals. In this case, it equals 3. And instead of x, I'm going to substitute what x equals. X equals 2. And I'm going to make sure this is a true statement. 3 plus 4 times 2 is 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. Yes, it is. It checks. So for number 2, x equals 2, a equals 3. Questions on number 2? Great. Number 3. 4u plus 5y equals 30, and 5u equals 25. So first, let's figure out what u equals. Well, if 5 times u equals 25, divide this side by 5, divide this side by 5. Anything times 5 divided by 5 cancels out. So u here must equal 25 divided by 5, which is 5. U equals 5. Halfway done. Now, I'm going to substitute, go back to my original problem. I'm going to say for u, instead of u, I'm going to put what u equals, which is 5. 4 times 5 plus 5y equals 30. Okay, 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 plus 5y equals 30. Well, if I want to get rid of this plus 20, I've got to subtract 20. If I subtract 20 from this side of the equation, in order to keep this thing equal, I've got to subtract 20 from this side of the equation. So, 5y plus 20 minus 20, they cancel out. So I've got 5y equals 30 minus 20. 30 minus 20 is 10. So 5y equals 10. Now, I want to get rid of this times 5. In order to get rid of a times 5, I've got to divide by 5. In order to keep this equal, if I divide this side by 5, I've got to divide this side by 5. So y times 5 divided by 5, they cancel out. I get y equals 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So in this case, u equals 5, y equals 2. Now let's go back and check this. Instead of a u, I'm going to substitute what u equals. In this case, u equals 5. So I have 4 times 5 plus 5 times y. Instead of y, I'm going to substitute 2. Because in this case, y equals 2. And I'm going to make sure this thing works. So, 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 5 times 2 is 10. 20 plus 10 equals 30. Yes, it does. Check. It works. Questions on number 3. Great. Number 4. 4u equals 20. 2u plus 5y equals 15. So, I'm going to I'm going to get rid of this times 4 by dividing by 4. If I divide this side by 4, in order to keep this thing equal, I've also got to divide this side by 4. So, u times 4 divided by 4, they cancel out. So I've got u equals 20 divided by 4. U equals 20 divided by 4 is 5. So u equals 5. Now I go back to my original problem. Instead of a u, I'm going to substitute 5. And I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10. So 10 plus 5y equals 15. In order to get rid of this plus 10, I'm going to subtract 10. If I subtract 10 from this side of the equation, I must also subtract 10 from this side of the equation. Any number plus 10 minus 10, they cancel out. So I've got 5y equals 15 minus 10. 5y equals, let me go to a new page. 5y equals 15 minus 10. 5y equals 15 minus 10 is 5. So 5 times what equals 5? Well, I divide this side by 5 to get rid of this times 5. If I divide this side by 5, I must divide this side by 5. So y times 5 divided by 5, they cancel out. I get y equals 5 divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So y equals 1. Now I'm going to go back to my original problem and I'm going to check it and make sure this works. So I've got u equals 5, y equals 1. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to substitute. Instead of a u, I'm going to substitute what u equals. U equals 5 in this case. And instead of y, I'm going to substitute what y equals. Y equals 1. Now I'm going to make sure this works. 2 times 5 plus 5 times 1 equals 15. Well, 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 5 times 1 is 5. 10 plus 5 does equal 15. Check. It works. Questions on number 4. Great. Number 5. 2b equals 10. 2b plus c equals 12. So, I'm going to start with 2b equals 10. Figure out what b equals. 2 times what equals 10? Well, b must equal, in order to get rid of this, times 2, I'm going to divide by 2. If I divide this side by 2, in order to keep this thing equal, I've also got to divide this side by 2. So b times 2 divided by 2, they cancel out. So I've got b equals 10 divided by 2, b equals 5. b equals 5 here. Now I'm going to go back to my original problem. And I'm going to substitute, so I've got 2. Instead of a b, I'm going to put what b equals. I'm going to substitute 5. 2 times 5 plus c equals 12. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10, so 10 plus c equals 12. Well, in order to get rid of this plus 10, I've got to subtract 10. If I subtract 10 from this side of the equation, I've also got to subtract 10 from this side of the equation. c plus 10 minus 10, they cancel out. So I've got c equals 12 minus 10. 12 minus 10 is 2. So c equals 2. b equals 5. Now let's go back and make sure this thing works. Instead of a b, I'm going to substitute what b equals. In this case, it equals 5. And instead of c, I'm going to substitute what c equals. In this case, c equals 2. And I'm going to make sure this thing works. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. Yes, it works. Check. So c equals 2. b equals 5. Questions on number, what number was that? 5? Questions on number 5? All right, great. Number 6. 5c equals 25. 6c plus z equals 31. So let's first figure out what c equals. If 5 times c equals 25, divide this side by 5, divide this side by 5, times 5 divided by 5 cancels out. C equals 25 divided by 5. C equals 25 divided by 5 is 5. So c equals 5. Now I'm going to rewrite my original problem, only instead of c, I'm going to substitute what c equals. C equals 5. So 6 times 5 plus z equals 31. Okay, so 6 times 5, that's just 30. 30 plus z equals 31. Well, this one you can do in your head. 30 plus what equals 31? Z must equal 1. Z equals 1. C equals 5. Now let's go back to our original problem and make sure this works. 6, instead of c, I'm going to substitute what c equals. In this case, c equals 5. And I'm going to substitute z for what z equals. Z equals 1. 6 times 5 plus 1 equals 31. Yep, check. It works. So for number 6, z equals 1, c equals 5. Questions on number 6? Shh. Okay. Number 7. 5b equals 5. 6b plus 4v equals 14. Okay, so if 5b equals 5, 5 times what equals 5? Well, divide this side by 5, divide this side by 5. I get b equals 5 divided by 5. b equals 1. Okay, so 5 times 1 does equal 5. So b equals 1. Now I'm going to go up to my top equation, and instead of b, I'm going to substitute what b equals. In this case, b equals 1. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 4v equals 14. In order to get rid of this plus 6, I'm going to subtract 6. If I subtract 6 from this side of the equation, I've also got to subtract 6 from this side of the equation. So 4v plus 6 minus 6, they cancel out. So I've got 4v equals 4v equals 14 minus 6. 14 minus 6 is 8. So 4v equals 8. 4 times what equals 8? Well, I divide this side by 4, divide this side by 4. I get v equals 8 divided by 4. These cancel out. V equals 8 divided by 4. V equals 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So V equals 2. B equals 1. Now let's make sure this works. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 4 times 2 is 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. Does that work? Yes, it checks. Questions on that one? All right, let's just do one more. Last one, number 8. 5x equals 5. 2x plus 6z equals 14. So, let's first figure out what x is. 5 times what equals 5? Well, of course, divide this side by 5, divide this side by 5. I get x equals 1. 5 times 1 equals 5. It works. So x equals 1. Now I go back to my top equation and I rewrite it, and only instead of an x, I'm going to substitute 1 and see what z is. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 6z equals 14. Whoops. 2 plus 6z equals 14. So in order to get rid of this plus 2 here, I'm going to subtract 2. If I subtract 2 from this side of the equation, in order to keep this equal, I've got to subtract 2 from this side of the equation. So 6z equals 14 minus 2, which is 12. Okay, so I've got 6z equals 12. In order to get rid of this times 6, I'm going to divide by 6. If I divide this side by 6, in order to keep this thing equal, I've got to also divide this side by 6. So, times 6 divided by 6, they cancel out. I get z equals 12 divided by 6. Z equals 12 divided by 6 is 2. So x equals 1, z equals 2. Now let's make sure this thing works. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 6 times 2 is 12. 2 plus 12 equals 14. Yes, it does. It checks. It works. That's question 8.